Hello and welcome friends to a new episode of our Warhammer 3 narrative-driven campaign playing as Aranessa Saltspite and the modded faction of the Pirates of Sartosa. To recap our previous episode, we're picking up right after the siege of Skavenblight, and it was a very costly siege, I will admit. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's costly is taking a look at our post-battle stats. Connor Hornigold's army was pretty much completely decimated, no survivors whatsoever. However, I will also say that this was intended to be a Pyrrhic victory. Now, the reason I wanted this to be a Pyrrhic victory was because Connor's army was essentially bait, although I will say, considering the amount of deaths that a lot of these Slayer pirates inflicted against the Skaven, it was an incredible sacrifice on their end. Connor himself taking some hefty damage, but also killing quite a bit of Skaven himself, and even his undead cannon fodder units took out quite a bit of Skaven themselves in the hundreds. Now, considering this was the battle for Skavenblight, Clan Scryer's capital city, I expected as well to take quite a beating here too. My main army I wanted to preserve as much as possible. Of course, some of my units taking a bit of heat and damage for it too. Sartosan pirates also being one of the key players here in our last victory, capturing the key building, one of the key capture points, and also ultimately, thanks to Connor's forces, we did defeat them through army losses as well. But also at the same time preserving Aranessa's main army. Now, we're going to decide what we're going to do with Connor's army, if it's best to sack it, or actually, you know what, we might raise it. And yes, I know it's going to cost quite a bit to occupy it, just with Connor himself, but the reason I want to raise it is because I do want that infamy, and also of course the influx of money from there too, although we're not really hurting too much when it comes to our cash here, which you can see is over 50,000 now. We're also still in a net positive. We rose in the rankings of our infamy level as well. And we are going to leave Connor somewhat behind, but I'm going to try to use Aranessa to force march as close as possible to Miragliano. Because if we zoom out here to the overall campaign map, with the destruction of Skavenblight, we've effectively launched the first wave of our attack in our pincer movement to take out Clan Scryer. We previously sold Miragliano, Varezzo, and Lucchini to Clan Angren, and also Belagar Ironhammer, which also I was using as bait. Essentially, we gained a whole bunch of money, and yes, it does put us in the crosshairs of Ikit, who has been making a march from Skavenblight to Miragliano, recently taking Varezzo, and also may launch an attack on Lucchini within this turn or the next turn afterwards. Hence the reason why I do plan on recruiting a Lord at Sartosa for defensive purposes. And yes, even though we may be at risk of having Sartosa under siege from Ikit, I'm hoping to use this lord a lord here to defend it, quickly recruit some undead units, but also Ikit now has to choose between launching an attack on Sartosa or retreating back to defend Miragliano and Varezza from Aranessa. Alright, we do have one Skaven hero there, but we're going to use Aranessa to march as close as possible to make that attack on Miragliano. Tabaro is ours as well. Let's see. Does Connor have any more movement speed? I might send Connor... Blood and plunder. Alright. Skavenblight was razed to the ground. I might just use Aranessa to launch attacks on Miragliano and Varezzo within the next turn too. Standing by. Although I might also use a Scorched Earth tactic as well with Connor, but also we'll get to that theater of the war soon. But at the moment, we need to recruit a lord because I do have a gut feeling Ikit may actually commit to his attack and assault on Lucchini, and then potentially try to use it as a staging ground to take Sartosa. So we're going to, for roleplay purposes, choose a Sartosa fleet admiral, so a human pirate lord. Let's see, smuggler, gain loyalty from constructing pirate coves, or instigator. Loyalty decline rate is lowered. And yes, that's another thing with Vampire Coast, is we do have to keep in mind that there's a loyalty mechanic that if there's high loyalty, we might gain some magic items. If there's low loyalty, then we risk them not just rebelling, but also taking our army that we recruited for them with them and launching attacks on our settlements. Loyalty from recruiting and fighting with other pirate lords in battle. I might choose smuggler here just because I don't think we'll be fighting any other pirate lords in our area anytime soon. Although loyalty is, this loyalty is a little bit too low to start with. I do not want a loyalty of potentially 1. I can handle a loyalty of 3 though. Okay, thankfully loyalty is at 5. We have a whole bunch that we can recruit from should we need to in a pinch. But I think for starters, we need to recruit 3 I think 3 units of Sartosan pirates should do. Or actually, this is really going to put us in the negatives. I know it already. And also it is thematic too, just because Slayer Pirates dwarf units are going to be incredibly effective at cutting through the front lines of the Skaven forces too. Plus also we could potentially have a combination of Slayer Pirates for our makeshift front lines, and then also Sartosan Pirates to Vanguard deploy behind the Skaven front lines behind the Skaven back lines and launch attacks on their more vulnerable rattling guns. But that's the plan here. Using this Captain Charlie Jenkins to recruit some Slayer units and also some undead units for cannon fodder to take back Lucchini, and then simultaneously using Aranessa and Connor Hornigold to take out Miragliano and Verezzo, thus using a pincer movement on the campaign map to take out Clan Scryer. Also taking a look at our diplomacy screen here. We are in quite a lot of wars. Well, most of them are distant wars, admittedly. The Dreadfleet has done a number on us when we tried to spawn. I did not know that fleets would spawn in the Dreadfleet area, but apparently that's where they do spawn for like this new mod that basically adds convoy mechanics for the Vampire Coast units. And also using some other mods that basically give us better diplomacy and more reasonable diplomacy bribes. I'm going to join more distant wars with the Border Princes essentially paying me to quote-unquote go to war against this minor greenskin faction. And I'm mostly doing this to essentially make up for the fact that I'm gonna be in the negative income for a few turns or two. Bali looks like they're in dire straits with both Ikit Claw. Well, it was Ikit Claw, but also with Morgar too, so we might need to go back and rescue the Italians from that too. Really fond of us. It looks like we might actually find some common ground, hopefully with the Arabians and potentially Arkan as well, to do a two-pronged attack. I do plan, if we have the chance, to make an assault on Pyrus, take out Chevaliers of Leonace here, and then sell that territory back to either Arkan or to the Arabians, so I can have a secure southern border, or somewhat of a secure southern border. Stormhenge under Khorne may also threaten us as well, but I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. the main threat that I really want to deal with right now is wiping out Clan Scryer, so we have total control in this little peninsula of the map here. But we'll end the turn here soon and then launch our attack on Miragliano. Alright, fast forwarding a turn, we are about to make an assault on Miragliano, but we don't have enough movement to actually make the attack. Connor Hornergold has decided to occupy Skavenblight, and I'm very tempted to sell to borrow off to Clan Angron because we are in pretty good relations with them, considering we are helping them in their war against Clan Scryer. They are also willing to pay us a crazy amount of cash for it, and also, who knows, because we could have potentially really good relations with the dwarves, we could maybe even make them a vassal, and they would make a very powerful vassal. I do like the idea of that, all things considering, and it makes sense thematically considering that we also are using Slayer Pirates, so in a way it could be like a trade-off where it's like Clan Angron is giving us some dwarves to be trained as Slayer Pirates to fight against Clan Scryer, and then also we're in a way giving them an well, not giving, selling them a very valuable territory, and we have a good almost military or peace agreement. We do actually have a peace agreement with the dwarves, but let's get this trade underway, giving them to borrow and also giving us a little bit of a buffer against Morgur in the west, and should Morgur fall against Estalia or Bibali, then also Clan Angron will, in a way, be a nice neutral buffer against the Spaniards in this area here too. Yeah, we'll just take a look at how things are going. The Spaniards are not really doing so great against the Beastmen here. Montanus has fallen, Bilbali is about to be attacked as well, and Magretta, well, they were threatened by both us and Morgur, but also now they just have to worry about Morgur, and we're going to not expand that way and just have our enemies take each other out there while we focus on clearing up the rat menace in our little peninsula. And yes, like I was saying too, Ikit Claw is somewhere around Lucchini. Well, actually, I know he is stationed in Lucchini because Lucchini just fell before the start of this turn, and we're going to use Charlie Jenkins here in an ambush stance to hopefully bait Ikit Claw into attacking Connor Sawyer here, which we just recently recruited. And honestly, I'm hoping that Connor survives this battle just because his loyalty will increase with the death of enemy lords and after winning a battle. And also, I'm hoping that Ikit thinks that there is going to be very little to no resistance with attacking Sartosa, and I really hope Ikit comes by on land here to make a attempting to make a siege of Sartosa. Charlie Jenkins has a couple of units of Slayer Pirates here. We do have him in ambush stance, and I think I might recruit a few more units in this turn, just because we cannot underestimate Ikit and Clan Scryer. In this potential ambush, I want to try to wipe him out as best and quick as possible. So in order to pull this off, and it's going to be a massive hit to our treasury here, negative 2,787 loss there, but also we do have enough reserves to actually make that loss. And a minor thing here too, diplomacy wise, we did join a couple of more distant wars. Specifically, we did somehow encounter the Jade Custodians. We joined a war against Dynasty of the Dam, and also secured a trade agreement with our Cathayan friends. And also taking a look at a few other factions that we somehow encountered. Ostland and Middenland, we joined their distant, well, I'm about to join Ostland's distant war, potentially against Clan Mulder. And Middenland, we joined their distant war against the Minor Black Pit tribe, which is not really something that we should worry about with that Greenskin faction. It's probably going to get wiped out either by Boris Todbringer or potentially the modded faction of Lorelorn Forest. But we'll end the turn here, and let us pray to Sigmar, to Manan, that Ikit takes the bait and we're able to wipe him out. By wiping him out, it gives us a clear pathway to take Lucchini and also do a pincer strike against Verezzo, thus wiping out Clan Scryer once we've also simultaneously taken Miragliano. I know that is a whole list of like various strategies that I have in mind, but let's see how it all plays out, my friends. Thank you as well for taking the time to listen to the semi-complex strategy that I have in mind. And I really could not have asked for a better ambush. We could even call this Saving Your Disaster Ambush, starring the Pirates of Sartosa and also Ikit Claw and Clan Scryer, which, ironically speaking, you would think that the Skaven would be the ambushers in this case. But taking a look at the upcoming battle, we have a near full stack of our makeshift army, kind of semi-recruited units from the grave with the zombie pirates and also gunnery mobs, supported with our slayer pirates and also fellbats and scurvy dogs, which will play a key role in taking out the rattling guns and also their Giselles. I do want the bats and wolves to focus on their ranged units and essentially just harass them. I'm not too worried about the doom flayers there too. And also, I do plan on utilizing our bloated corpse to just absolutely demolish their front lines. Settlement garrison, I might even just throw willy-nilly in there because of the fact that I'm not too worried in terms of the settlement garrison getting absolutely wrecked here. But also, I want Connor Sawyer and also Captain Charlie Jenkins to absolutely demolish Ikit in one, well, technically 2v1 combat. But we'll fight this battle manually. I know it says decisive victory, but I do want you all to have a very entertaining show of Clan Scryer getting absolutely annihilated. Welcome to our ambush right before we spring the trap, and also speaking of traps, we have one set up specifically for Ikit. We're going to be using our zombie gunnery mobs to fire on Ikit from all sides, and also simultaneously using all three of our slayer pirates to blockade this part of the hill to keep Ikit from evacuating in this zone here. And also they'll be not just good at holding the line, but also laying waste both with their pistols and also with their pretty high melee, well, not super high, but decent melee attack and weapon strength. So Ikit's gonna be feeling the hurt from all sides with all guns, and also we'll be sending our fleet admiral to 1v1 Ikit while he's getting shot up. We're also going to use our bloated corpse to literally kamikaze rush into the front line and devastate them so they don't know what hit them, and also so Ikit has little to no support from his army. The rest of his army is going to be bombarded on all sides with zombie deckhands mob charging into the rattling guns, and also these deckhand mobs also charging in as well. I think I'll have them just entirely swarm both their Giselles and rattling guns. I do not want any of them to escape the battlefield. And also for extra insurance, not only will they be swarmed on all sides by zombies, but also we'll be utilizing our fellbats to sweep in and start harassing all three groups. I am also keeping it a little bit on the conservative side and playing it safe by hiding our scurvy dogs, which we'll be using to run down retreating enemy units. Doom flayers may be a little annoying, but also they're not going to be that much help in this battle. But we'll get started here soon. I do want to pause the battle here and make sure everyone gets in their positions. So we'll have you guys contesting this hill here. You guys start opening fire on this angle here, and then dwarves, I'm gonna need you guys holding the line at all costs, making sure nobody gets into this evacuation zone. Charlie Jenkins, I want you not in melee combat, but also opening firing on Ikit Claw. I do want to zoom in on this massive explosion that will happen here. Let's have you actually charge into... Yeah, I think probably the clan rats might be the best bet here. You charge into these rattling guns, you charge into that group, and then bats, I want you swarming these Giselles. Basically, we're negating all of their range capability and making them fight on our own turns. And should things go south, we are going to be reinforced both by another fleet admiral and also the garrison forces here too. And like I said, scurvy dogs will be hiding in the forests, running down any retreating enemy units. But we'll get the battle playing now. Alright, let's see this corpse absolutely demolish. And that is a lot of dead clan rats there. Full retreat, but also does look like Ikit is trying to make an assault there, or a last minute charge. This might actually be semi-concerning here. Okay, Warplock Engineer getting absolutely shot up and mollywopped there. He's probably going to be the first death in this battle. Alright, keep firing on the Warplock Engineer. We can at least kill their second in command if need be. Oops, accidentally had skirmish mode on. All of you keep firing on. Alright, everyone. Actually, you know what? Fleet Admiral, charge into that engineer there. Okay, how are our bats doing? Okay. Get rid of these Skaven slave spears. Okay. Somehow the rattling guns avoided our charge there. Okay, you know what? I think I'll need to send my dire wolves in to cut down these rattling guns. Okay, how are we doing here, guys? Alright, all of you start open firing on Ikit immediately. Oh shoot, that Warplock Engineer might actually escape. Hunt him down. I think everyone else can easily take out Ikit Claw here. Oh, poor Ikit, just absolutely getting rain fire down and getting chased by some big burly men there. Well, big burly dwarves, as tall as a dwarf can get. Alright, and we're also getting reinforced by the settlement garrison. This battle looks like it's already in our favor. We're sending them out to various groups that are in full retreat now. Alright, wolf rats, or scurvy dogs, let's have you charge down these slingers. Bats, I want you to keep harassing and completely wiping out these rattling guns. Looks like the Giselles, all clustered up in this group, are getting pinned down or pretty much wiped out by the last rat. Yeah, just a handful of rats now too. And also, let's actually send in our gunners to finish off the remaining Skaven forces here. I am a little bit bummed out that the Master Engineer did survive. I'm hoping that we can wipe out most, if not all, of Ikit's army, because I want little to no survivors here. Yeah, no, it's their Giselles that I'm actually super worried about. Alright, Prometheans charge into these slingers here. Yeah, they might actually even outrun our Prometheans. Yeah, if the slingers do survive, no worries there whatsoever. Yeah, no, there's some small skirmishes still continuing here. Alright, zombie, if anything, I think the best that we can ask for is to charge in, wipe out their ranged units to the best of our ability. Yeah, I don't want to end the battle until, I know, victory is in our grasp, but I want to wipe out their ranged units to the last rat. Alright, bats keep swarming these snipers. If anything, they're at least slowing them down for our scurvy dogs to charge in and wipe them out. Yeah, I have half a mind if some of Ikit's army does survive and retreats, then I'll send both of my admirals to try to wipe them out with the remainders of our army. Okay, how are we looking over here? Alright, just clan rat spears. Rattlings. Oh, okay. These rattling guns are going to be somewhat of a nuisance, even though we've taken them out for the most part. Slingers also aren't going to be too insane to deal with in a second battle, but also I really do want to wipe them out as much as possible. Yeah, you know what? I think it's in our best interest to just try to decimate the remainders of their army, even though it is mostly just Skaven slaves. Clan rats also are pretty much just semi-upgraded Skaven slaves. They're kind of like Skaven slaves from Wish. Alright, come on, get in range, boys and girls. We're not discriminatory on who we hire. In fact, I think Aranessa would probably hire both women and men in her pirate army because, well, how are you going to win a war and also raid up and down the coastline if you only hire half your population? Alright, we'll call that is definitely a decisive victory. However, let's take a look at the post-battle stats because I do want to make sure that we at least made the best we could of this ambush. Okay, we pretty much killed off, well, we did kill Ikit Claw. Master Engineer, I am still a little disappointed they got away just barely. Okay, Giselles are completely wiped out. Regiment, it looks like this Rattling gun had was a regiment of renown or had some kind of mutations. Just under half of that Rattling gun is left. Doomflayer's also racking up quite a number of kills, although I'm assuming it was with our zombies there. Alright, I think the best thing that we could ask for in the next upcoming battle, should we have to fight the remnants of Ikit's armies, is to use both Charlie Jenkins and our other admiral to tag team them, utilizing the rest of our zombie army. And looks like we do have at least one unit of bats, and our scurvy dogs racked up quite a bit of kills too. Alright, and I know I had to pause there, but I think we will wrap up this episode here. That's the main highlight that I wanted to show you all, is potentially, well, not just potentially, we did ambush Ikit Claw, took him out, pretty much decimated his army or any possibility of attacking our capital city of Sartosa. It was a bit of a risky maneuver to essentially give up a lot of that territory and have him come knocking on our doorstep. But in the next few episodes, we will be taking back Lucchini, launching an assault on Miragliano, and then at the end of that next episode, hopefully potentially wiping out Clan Scryer from the face of the earth, and thus securing our friendship with Clan Engren and Belagar Ironhammer. And as always, please let me know genuinely in the comments some things that you would have done differently on the campaign map and of course the battlefield as well. I do really want to improve as a Warhammer player, and also I do want these narrative Let's Play campaigns to be more entertaining for you all to watch. But regardless if you're a new or returning viewer, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this episode. And if you are a new viewer, consider hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon notifications because I do want to take you all on more adventures like this. But until then, I'll save you a seat at the table, and have a great day, friends.